Um, good day, sir. I am the first reporter of Group 3, Glidel May A. Aninian, Chapter 9, Loans and Receivable Management. Learning Outcomes. Upon finishing this session, the learner is expected to understand the current concept of receivables and its parameters, discover the importance of control measures to safeguard the collectible status of the accounts, analyze and classify receivable, and explain common misuses of receivable. How do we define receivable? PAS 39 defines loans and receivables as non-derivative financial assets with fixed or determinable payments that are quoted in an active market. When we say receivables, these are financial assets that represent a contractual right to receive cash or other financial assets from another entity or customer. Ang receivables manggod kana siyang for instance na kay company. So nay nangutang sa imo ha. So dili man jud tanang tao nga maka-assure jud nga i-cash jud sa ilaha. So nay mahitabo nga credit. Mahitabo nga credit or utang. So kanang receivables kung siya nagkuha si mong nagpalit siya si mong product, pero dili siya cash, so nakay receivable sa iyaha, nakay kuha unon or something nga collectible ana siya. These are examples of receivables. Traditional accounts receivable, sometimes called trade debtors or trade accounts receivable. It is not supported by a promissory note. It is normally supported by a credit invoice issued by the company and has credit terms. The credit terms stated in the invoice are the basis of the accounting department on whether the customer's account is not yet due or past due already. This will also be the basis for recognizing an impairment loss arising from the receivable account. Notes receivable is supported by a formal promise to pay in the form of note. So, ang notes receivable, kanang kung nainangutang sa imo nga doon, na siya notes receivable, kay notes receivable, kay nakata siya notes nimo nga kana nga day dira siya mobayad. So, nakay notes receivable. So, loans receivable is a receivable arising from banks and other financial institutions. Accounting elements that affect receivable. First is the discounts. Trade discount is a discount that is not recorded in the books of accounts. This is the discount granted to made customer because of the bulk order that they made. This is normally expressed in terms of percentages and will encourage customers to buy in commercial quantity. Remember, the more the customers buy, the bigger discount they can get. So, diri mahitabo nga kung daghan kag paliton, mas dako ka og discount palalitan kung mapalit ka og more than 10, so nakay 10% discount. If for example lang ha, sa isa ka tindahan na kung mapalit ka og more than 10 nga product, maka-discount ka o nakay 10% to 20% nga discount. So, nagbayad nimo gamay na lang mabayaran ka na kay discount. So, cash discount is a discount that is recorded in the books. This is the kind of discount that you can see in your income statement in order for you to come up with net sales. This will encourage customers to pay on time because if they pay early or within the credit terms, they can avail of the discount. So, palitan katong nataytawag ka ng 2 and 30 kana kung sa isa ka nangutang panitan, for example ha, nangutang ka. Dayon ang credit terms niya kay kanang within this month. Aspitan kanang katapusan ka ang credit terms, katapusan ka mo bayad. So wala pa'y katapusan or within this credit terms juga mo bayad na kay discount. Ang litan imong bayron kay 1,000 nya wala pa judit ni bayad na ka. So pwede ka maka-discount, pwede siya mahimong 900 o diba, or 800 depende sa kung pilay discount.
Sales returns, the goods which the customer have physically returned. This may be a matter of wrong shipment or wrong delivers of merchandise. It is occurs when a customer return an item that is defective, is the wrong quantity, or for some other reason. When a customer return merchandise, the seller has to record the return in its accounting records. Sales allowances are the goods delivered to the customers but are defective. For this reason, the company agreed to reduce the receivable account from these customers by guaranteeing sales allowances. Instead of physically returning the merchandise, the customer agreed to accept the delivery at reduced prices. It's a reduction in the amount that the customer owes the seller to the problem. With the orders such as defect or incorrect quantity. In this situation, the purchaser keeps the merchandise and does not ship it back to the seller.
So, risk evaluation. There is always an inherent risk in granting credit to customers. So, normally, customers will grab an opportunity of using the leverage in obtaining favorable response to their operating performance. So if magpautang jud kasi mga customers, na jud siya risk and you're not 100% sure na makabayad jud siya sa iyang utang. But kanang risk ma-minimize na siya by just following these exercises. So number 1, conduct a field investigation on the customer's paying behavior. So from this matter, you can ask from a third party on how a particular customer behaves in setting his or her accounts with other suppliers. So by conducting research about that customer, yung background information, so ma-determine mo kung unsa siya, if he or she is a good payer or bad payer. So next is ask for financial report. So it is duty certified by a certified public accountant from the applicant or customer applying for a credit facility. Then prepare a financial analysis. So pwede ka mag-ask for financial report para makita nimo yung financial transaction nito, if goods ba ma-differentiate nimo ang iyang previous years o current year. So next, receivable analysis. So the first one is accounts receivable turnover. So for the formula, total credit sales over the average accounts receivable. So not a table, no. Assume the following. So the following selected information were taken from the records of Christine Joyce Enterprises. So na cash from 2008, 2007 rather. So the total credit sales was 2,950,000 and the average accounts receivable is 2,550,000. So imo ra siyang i-divide applying the formula, so you will get 12 times. So therefore the figure 12 times tell us that the company was able to sell and collect 12 times in a year time. So sa isa ka year makakulik siya 12 times. Next, number of days in receivable. So if you will convert this into number of days your receivable were left uncollected. So then proceed to the next analytic tool. So the number of days in receivable. Okay, so for the formula, magamit tag 365 days is the basis kay 1 year, then divided by accounts receivable turnover. So in our illustration, we can compute the number of days in receivable as follows. So diba ganiha 12 times siya makakollect sa isa ka year, so mo siya i-divide sa 365 days. So 365 days divided by 12 is equal to 30 days. So for the analysis, the analysis is that company is able to collect the receivables in 30 days. So 30 days, kasi 30 days man ang answer there. Okay, so for other example, so the same process lang siya ang gigamit na from receivable turnover to inventory turnover, payable turnover. So the same process lang, i-divide din siya after makuha itong turnover niya, itong ikapila siya makakolect, then kapila siya makaka-collect or makabayad, ay makakolect, then gi-divide siya sa number of days para makita po dito ikapila siya na maka-turnover, mga receivables na. So for the interpretation for this example, so the company purchased and merchandise on January 1. The analyzed financial figure provides that they paid it on January 21, so 20 days. So on the other hand, when they purchased the merchandise on January 1, the analyzed financial figure provides that they sold it on January 14. So number of days in inventory man, so 14 days siya nasa so na-sold nila in January 14 and collected 6 days thereafter. So nabitaw 6 days, number of days in receivables. So collectible ba ng receivables, so 6 days. So in other words, they have converted back to the inventory to cash on January 20. Number of days payable. So if you can see now in an example, the date of collection and the date of payment are equal to 20 days, di ba? Equal. So how would this operation affect your cash position? Okay. So to make it more realistic, we have to compare the number of days in receivable with the credit terms the company is extending to its customers. So assuming that the company credit term is 2/10 and N/30. So the figure means that collectors of the company are not able to persuade the customers to pay within the discount period, but they are good collectors. Why? Because they were able to persuade the customers to pay on time, even though wala nila na persuade ang customers na magpay itong discount time na mas dali, mas maka-less sila, pero but still makabayad din kaya sa saktong oras. So saktong oras and date na ilang isabutan. Okay, so this is another opportunity to evaluate cash discount rate. So the cash discount rate might not be too attractive for the customers to grab as trade-off on early setting their accounts. So you have to remember that the conversion of receivable to cash early would mean the following. So ang mga customer no kay dapat yung uban na di jud even though maghatag ang mga discount rate, like mas sayo siya makabayad din, mas maka-discount siya, like mas less iyang bayron, pero nauban mo gud i-maximize yun nilang time na di ba tanan na naikwarta jud na mabayad jud ana na mas makabayad sila in a short period of time. Nauban kay ma-maximize kay lagi dili pares tanan na ang income. So letter A, you can use this cash again to start. So you can start this cash again to start the operating cycle. So take note that the faster the cycle, the better. So as this will not only improve the receivable turnover but also the inventory turnover. So if ma-improve imong receivable turnover, also put imo pong inventory turnover now. So improving it would also mean improving your bottom line figures. So bottom line figures would mean your net income. So ina-improve imong katong mga tong receivable turnover and inventory turnover, then dako income, net income. So dako kita. So you can place the cash in high yielding time deposits to earn another income and thus improving also your bottom line figures. So it talks about bottom line figures yun, ma-improve yun siya. So okay, next, how about if your credit term is 45 days and your receivable turnover is 30 days? So how would this be interpreted? So if this is the case, then there are two sides of the coin again. Okay, so two sides of the coin. Let's just say ang siya positive and negative. So first, company collectors were working so hard to cope with the collection stress and were able to collect the receivable early. So ang company collectors no kanang mga like sa mga utang mga collectors, namin sila mga collectors. So they're doing their best para makakollect din sa even though kanang auban biya kay di mamayad sa saktong oras, like sige pass but still they were able to collect the receivable early. Dila jud persuade ang katong mga customers na magbayad So again, this is an opportunity to evaluate credit terms because it might be too relaxed that the customers can easily settle their obligations with the company. So you must benchmark your credit policy and improve and minimize the inherent risk. Next. So, as you can see, no, there should be a comfortable amount of flexibility and mobility in managing your account. So, dapat yung jud kay dili lang ka magstay for that specific lang. Di ka I mean di ka pwede dapat flexible ka, di lang pwede na magstay lang ka na isa ka position bitaw murag nga idea. So this is because the primary motive in managing accounts is to improve bottom line figures and improve the inherent risk present in all business enterprises. So di ba, if ma-improve ni mga inherent risks then katong mga risk mas ma-minimize to nimo. Dili bitaw kay if magstay man jud ka, like magstay ka na ing ana lang ang pamaagi, ang pamaraan din katong inherent risk, may possible na mas mudako ang risk na sa imong company if ever nga na. So that is why you need to do some research out katong mga exercises para sa katong risk na inyong madawat is males and mas and ikaw as a seller or as a sa inyong company then dako mo makita. So next is in managing accounts receivable, you also have to consider the other tools which might be helpful in improving operating performance. So always consider jud ang katong mga operating tools kay kato kay gigamit man pud siya in sa process. So without atong mga tools kay ang inyong performance kay will stay the same lang kay if with the help ato siyempre nag-improve jud makita nimo. Okay, so that's all.
Charging bad accounts. In accounting, there are 3 methods of estimating bad accounts in our receivable, and these are the following. First, estimating the company operating performance and realizing its receivable, and the last is aging for accounts. So, if the company is focused on estimating the operating performance of a company, there will be a formula in it, and the formula will be the credit sales multiplied to the estimated percentage of bad accounts, and then the answer on it will be the amount that will be reduced to the account receivable of the company. In our first example, there will be credit sales of 2,950,000 and have the balance of account receivable of 240,000 and the allowance for doubtful account is 10,000. Then the company estimated that 2% of credit sales will be considered bad accounts, so that the bad accounts can be computed as follows: by credit sales of 2,950,000 multiplied to 2%, and then the answer will be 59,000. So in this case, 59,000 will be considered as bad account. The second method is when the company is focused on estimating its receivable. The formula will be accounts receivable times the percent of bad accounts less to the allowance for doubtful account balance. Previous example, the credit sales will be 2,950,000 and have the balance account of receivable of 240,000 and the doubtful account is 10,000. Then the company estimated that 6% of credit sales will be considered bad account. In this method, the formula will be account receivable times the percent of bad accounts less to the allowance of doubtful account. And in this case, account receivable of 240,000 times 6% of bad accounts less to the 10,000 of allowance for doubtful account, then the answer is 4,400. In this method, it is lead to the company to know the estimated account of receivable is collected when allowance for doubtful account is deducted. What if ang bad accounts kay dili siya pwede baryan karon nga year, pero next year pwede siya baryan? Then ay method nga pwede gamiton animo ni siya ang gitawag nga aging of accounts receivable. It will be the factor by which the receivable might become bad or uncollectible. So we have to age the receivable in accordance with the following. So in the picture below, there will be the not yet accounts in 1 to 30 days. So naa siya 150,000 receivable. Then ang iyang i-times ni siya sa kuan 0% kay kuan man wala pa man siya nag due. So wala pa pud siya kuan, wala pa pud siya bad accounts. Then diri sa 31 to 60 days kanang naa siya kuan nga naa siya kuan nga amount receivable nga 50,000, then naa pud siya i-times na siya sa 5%, so naa siya bad accounts nga 2,500. Then to 61 to 90 days na siya 25,000 i-times sa 15%, so mao na siyang na siya 3,750. So over 90 days na siya kuan nga 15,000 i-times sa 40%, so na siya kuan 6,000. So kung itotal nimo ning account receivable, so mo kuan siya og 240,000. Then sa kuan pod sa bad accounts, kung i-total nimo siya, makakuan siya og 12,250. Then sa mo ni siya ang total estimated bad account is kuan 12,250. Then kuan nimo siya i-minus nimo siya sa allowance for doubtful accounts is 10,000 man to katong naa sa mga previous example nga kuan doubtful account. Imo siyang ang kuan 12,250 i-minus nimo siya sa 10,000, so mo na siyang na siya remainder to be charged to bad accounts nga kuan 2,250. How to count the age of your receivable? When the credit term is 2/10, then N/30, and the buyer had purchased the merchandise on January 1, it is due on January 31. So, from January 1 to 31, kay 31 days. Then, kung nagkuhan ka January 1, the first day, so 31 minus 1, so naa kay 30 days nga kuan para magbayad pa ato imuhang gi-purchase nga mga kuan item. But if pag-abot sa maabtan ka og kuan February 1, wala gihapon nimo na barye, maklasify ni siya 31 days to 60 days nga overdue kay nabdan man kag February 1 nga wa pagyapon nimo na barye nya. Tama rag January 31 ang due date. But if maabdan ka og kuan April 25, wa gihapon nimo siya na barye, ang pagkuan ana pag-count sa age of your receivable, so makuha na siya 91 days. So sa example naa dali January 1 to 31 na siya 31 days. Then February 1 to 28 na siya 28 days. March 1 to 31, so na siya 31 days. Then April 1 to 25 na siya 25 days. Then total ani nila tanan niya siya 115 days. Less on January 1, so ang katong 115 days i-minusan nimo siya 1, so nalang siya 114 days nga magbayad ato.
Who handles the receivables? Like in cash, handling, you must also be careful as to who handles the receivables. The following are involved in the handling of receivables. So first is the credit and investigation personnel, or the CI. Evaluators of the customer's credit facility. Normally, these are the staff that go and inspect the site of a business applying for a credit facility and check if the business is really there, and even observe how transaction were processed during the day. So for example of this is kanang mangutang kag motor. So but before kanila release ang motor, dapat naam gyud siya sila CI ato ano jud kana sa inyo ha. Personally, si ayon ka ana if naaba jud ka ana imong gilista ditong information, if naaba jud ka ana nga mga business or makakuha ba jud ka monthly ana nga mga money, or if maka-afford ba ka ana pang monthly nga bayad. So second is the sales representatives. The sales representatives is the personnel that sell the products of the company. They are the ones that have face-to-face contact with the customers and motivate them to maximize their credit facility. So in the business, na siya sales representative. So if nindot ka mo dalag sales talk, syempre mas mainganyo nimo ang mga customers. 3 is the collectors. Collectors is the personnel that collect the accounts from the customers. Similar with the sales representative, collectors are to be trained as well. They should be punctual in collecting the receivables. Before the receivables is due, a statement of account must be served so that the customers can also schedule their payment to the company. So, the collectors, it is the dapat responsibilities nila ang kanang maghatag sila, for example kanang due date kanang sa motor na ay due date, or para ma-aware ang katong nangutang nga mo din ay due date nga dapat niya bayaran kay if ever dili pa maabot og due date nimo siya mabayaran, maka-less pa ka kay naa siya discount. Tapos if ever pod ka nang malapas na ka og bayad, so naa po kay penalty. Dapat responsible yun siya sa collectors para pod ma-aware ang mga customers. So, number 4 is cashiers. Cashiers is the personnel that receive money from the customers who made the payment at the office and the money collected by the collectors. So, the cashiers, kabalo naman kita na ang cashiers, sila gina ang mga tao nga mugunit og mga bayad, sila ang naghawid sa mga bayad, sa mga gibayad sa mga giutang, just like for example lang. So the bookkeepers is the personnel that record the money received by the cashiers and the collector. The recording will be based on the receipt issued by the cashier and the collectors. The bookkeeper will also check the validated deposit slip as evidence. So the bookkeepers, so sila gina ang mga tig-record sa mga kung unsa ang ilang na-receive, kung unsa ang ilang na-receive nga gikan sa mga cashiers o sa mga collectors. So lastly, the auditor. The auditor is the staff that checks the activities related to receivables. Such observation must be properly reported to the management so that it could be acted immediately. So the auditor they are the one who audit. Siyempre, auditor, audit. So if you want to be if you want to be handing in receivables, you must be involved first these 6 handling receivables for us to know para mas successful po na itong mga businesses.
So, how to convert your receivable faster? So, number 1 is pledging. So, pledging this is a way wherein a company can obtain cash using its receivable as a pledge or a collateral security for such loan payment. So, with a new loan, businesses are using its leverage in order to make more business transaction, thereby enhancing its operating surplus. So, ang pledging is here refers to an activity in which the borrower of funds uses securities as a form of collateral to secure the funds borrow or take from the lender. So, ang collateral is the asset that the lender accepts as security for a loan. So, collateral acts as a form of a protection for the lender. So, if the borrower default on their loan payments, so the lender can seize the collateral and sell it to the recap. So, some or all of its losses. So, ang example niya kay si Christine Joyce. So, ang enterprises ni Christine is nagborrow siya from Security Bank of 5,000. 500,000. So, yung pledge is 1.5 million. So, ang accounts receivable niya to secure the loan. So, if you are reading a financial report of Christine Joyce Enterprises, this pleading cannot be sent on the page of financial report, but instead in the notes in financial statement. So this is because the
So let's proceed to the industry practice. A company that has a large customer environment should tie up with various banking companies. So it means that kung ang kumpanya na siya'y large target customer, dapat pud niya makipag-ugnayan siya sa different or iba't ibang banking companies. So, mo to siya ang industry practice. So, there are 4 types of industry practice, or there are 4 practices. So, first, we have the customer can now deposit their payment directly to the banking system. So, ang customer daw, pwede na siya mo direct og bayad sa iyahang barinon dito sa bangko. This system will cut some of the possible. So, may mga posibleng mahitabo if ang customer maka-direct na og payment sa ilahang barinon dito sa company, sa bangko. So, first, cost of collector services. So, since gipaalaw na sa kumpanya ang ilahang mga customer nga maka-direct og bayad dito sa bangko, so possible nga ang katong mga tig-collect or katong mga collector magamay na ang ilahang salary. Next is the opportunity of losing the money collected by the collectors due to misappropriation. So, males pod ang opportunity nga mawala ang kwarta tungod sa misappropriation. So, males ang mga panghitabo nga mga inana kay tungod ang customer pwede naman siya maki-direct og bayad sa ilahang payment dito sa bangko. So, dili na kayo na mahitabo. Next is forms which the company uses as proof of payment. So, since the customer are keeping their validated deposit slip made by the bank, it will already serve as evidence for their payment. So, ang katong mga forms or what we call this, resibo. So, ang resibo pwede po siya magamit as proof or evidence nga nakabayad na sila. Next. Next is second practices. We have the automatic debit arrangement with the banking system. The account of the customers will automatically be debated for the amount they have to pay to the company. This is a bank product by which prior arrangement was made to automatically debit the account for the various payment. So, ang kaning automatic debit arrangement with the banking system, it means that ang account sa customer ma-automatic debited na siya, ay debited. So kanang ma-automatic na bito makaltasan ang iyahang account kung pila ang iyahang barinon sa kumpanya. So mo na siyang pasabot sa automatic debit arrangement with the banking system. So next is number 3, the phone banking. So nowadays, customer can now avail of phone banking wherein the customer can now pay in the comforts of their homes and within their time and convenience. When you avail of this bank product, one has to enroll first the supplier that the companies often pay. So it means that sa panahon karon, which is nagka-high-tech na ang ato ang generation, so naantay cellphone. So pamaagi sa cellphone, pwede na ta makabayad sa ato ang mga utang through that access sa cellphone, no? So kung mo avail ka og phone banking, so kinahanglan siya i-enroll ang supplier dito sa katong sige niya ginabaryan, and then kung na-enroll na siya, so pwede na ka makabayad through sa imong phone. Muna siya ang phone banking. So last, we have the online banking. Some customers can have access to their bank accounts through the internet, and in so doing, they can pay their accounts. So online banking. So kasagara karon sa atoa, mao na ang ginabuhat, no? Labi na katong mga rich people, no? So ang example aning online banking, we have GCash, PayPal, Paymaya, no? So through sa mga inana nga mga access, pwede na ta makabayad sa ato ang mga utang. So those are the four practices, no, sa industry. Yes. Proceed to the next topic.
Chapter 10, Working Capital Management. What are the elements of working capital? Specifically, working capital is the net of current assets and current liabilities. Current assets are cash. Example, cash. The parameters are discussed in Chapter 7. This is unrestricted MAD acceptable for deposit with the banking system. This represent the following: cash on hand. Cash on hand, cash that were left in the office waiting for deposit the next banking day in accordance with the company policies on cash handling. Another is cash on hand, money yet to be deposited to the bank, or cash money kept on hand as change for customers. Example, any actual cash on premises, checking accounts and saving accounts. In cash in bank. Cash in bank, deposit in the bank are demand deposit account, checking account, savings deposit, and time deposit with maturity of 3 months or less. Example sa cash in bank is bank drafts, money orders, petty cash, cash fund. There are the funds set up by the company that will address the current needs of the company, like petty cash fund, revolving fund, and change fund. Example sa cash fund, petty cash fund, revolving fund, and change fund. So ang petty cash fund is a small amount of company cash often kept on hand. Example, lock drawer or box to pay for minor or incidental expenses such as office supplies or employees reimbursements. Cash equivalent, time deposit with maturity of 3 months or less. So ang cash equivalent are the total value of cash on hand that includes items that are similar to cash. So ang cash equivalence is pareho siya sa cash. So cash equivalent example include but are not limited to treasury bills, treasury notes, commercial paper, and certificate of deposit. Number 2, marketable securities or temporary investment. Time deposit with maturity of more than 3 months but not more than 1 year. Otherwise, such time deposits will be classified as long-term investment, which are no longer a current asset and beyond the working capital parlance. So another is marketable securities are securities that can easily be sold. So receivables are the collectibles of company, whether trade or non-trade. That's all.
By the way, I am one of the reporters in Group 3. My topic it's all about inventory or the merchandise of the company. It could either be ready for conversion to a finished product. Inventory meaning this is where the complete list of items be found or tracked down, and also it is where the entire stock of a certain business, including materials, component, work in progress, and finished product be seen also. Prepayments meaning a make earlier payment or settlement of an accounts, so meaning gibayaran na daan. So prepayments, these are the advantages payment, for example, which is prepaid rent. So prepaid rent, advance payment of a rental, which is are usually required less agreement. And then prepaid insurance, advance payment of insurance, a premium normally for vehicles and fire, but the life insurance it's not included here. And then prepaid advertising, advance payment of advertising, whether print, television, or radio advertising. And the last one is supplies. Supplies is whether the office or shop or store and etc. The used portion, the unused portion. By the way, I'm Apunsi Christine.
So my assigned topic is the accounts payable and the social charges liabilities. So accounts payable refers to an account within the general ledger that represent a company's obligation to pay off short-term debts to its creditors or suppliers, whereas the increase or decrease in the total accounts payable from the period prior will appear in the cash flow statement. So accounts payable may also differ from other type of current liabilities like short-term loans, accruals, proposed dividends, and bills of exchange payable. Example is the transportation, the raw materials, the power energy or the fuel, product and equipment, the leasing, the licensing, and the last is the services. Social charges liabilities means any social security contribution and any other charge or liability relating to employment. So for example, for this is the medical cost, the disability, the death, the pensions, retirement, and the vacation.
I am John Chris Maginay and this is my report. My report is in number 3 and withholding tax payable. Withholding tax payable is the taxes withheld by the company for the remittance to the BIR, or it is the tax payable that the company is holding. So it is the taxes that need to be paid. So it is the withholding tax payable. And number 4 is the short-term notes payable. Short-term from the word short means mugbo ra siya nga time. Short-term borrowings of a company to cope with the payment stress. So ang kini siya nga short-term notes payable meaning you need to borrow money but in a short time. And also in 5, current portion of the loans payable. The current portion of the long-term payables are normally will be payable within 1 year balance sheet date. So kini siyang utang po. 1 year po siya bayaran nimo. So this is my report about the 3, 4, and 5. So it is about the withholding the tax payable. It is about the notes payable means the borrowing when you borrow a money. So it is very important to how you kano sa ka magbayad, month baka siya, weeks baka ha, or within a year. So sometimes in a company within a year magbayad ka sa imong mga loans. So this is my report and thank you.
So let's proceed to the importance of working capital. All the accounts mentioned as components of working capital must be managed well as a group in order to minimize risk, which are inherent in all these accounts. So, working capital affects many aspects of your business, from paying your employees and vendors to keeping the lights on and planning for sustainable long-term growth. In short, working capital is the money available to meet your current short-term obligations. So, who handles the working capital? Normally, supervisory and managerial position handles the account or anybody who has control and access on the working capital. They could be the general manager who manage the store operations. So, as a general manager is responsible for all or part of a department's operations or the company's operations, including generating revenue and controlling costs. In small companies, the general manager may be the one of the top executives. So the next one is the comptroller who manage the implementation of accounting policies in the financial department. So a comptroller is a senior management level executive who is responsible for overseeing the accounting and financial reporting of a business, non-profit organization, or government entity. The number 3 is the accounting manager who manage the right classification of accounts in order to give the right presentation of accounts in the financial statements. So, an accounting manager handles the overall management and supervision of the accounting department. This includes overseeing the work of accountants, reviewing financial statements, and preparing reports for upper management.
So what are the tools to be used? So pasensya na sa background noise sir kay sabay kay dire. So we have, for example, we have the acid test ratio or the quick acid ratio. So this ratio will tell the kung unsa ang ability of the company to pay its current liability. So mag-measure po ni sa unsa ka paspas ang company maka-generate og cash from the cash itself. So and the collection of accounts receivable or perhaps the discounting of notes receivable. So next is the di na ko maklaro. So, for example, this is the following information taken from the records of Christine Joyce Enterprises for the period ending December 31, 2008. So, we have the cash of $20,000, pesos, receivable of 550 pesos, inventory, prepayments, and so on. So, the formula is quick assets divided by current liabilities. So to substitute that is we have the 570 of quick assets. So ang quick assets is the when you add the cash and receivables. Then nakuha mo ng 570. Then sa 550,000, we have the current liabilities of 550,000. So i-add lang nato ang accounts payable log ang notes payable. So the ratio therefore ang result is 1.03 over 1. So ang interpretation ana. So ang interpretation ana, so we have the in every 1 pesos of liability there is a quick asset of 1.3 pesos to answer its individual settlement. So this ratio is good kay because nang this means na ang company kay easily ra maka-source out of cash of payments of its current maturing obligation. But as a manager and a supervisor, dapat you have to closer look on the other side of the coin. So for example, if the company is a fast collector of accounts receivable, the 1.03 into 1 is medyo high because you can easily convert receivable to cash. So therefore, it might be a really good indicator on the other side of the coin. You might not able to tap a good credit facility facility facility. So you have to remember that if you will not maximize your leverage, you will miss the point of earning more by doing more business to improve your bottom line figure. So dapat imo yung i-remember na kung dili nimo maximize your leverage, ma-miss nimo ang point of earning more or by doing more business to improve your bottom figures. So in the selected information, we have selected that there is a low cash in the treasury. Medyo mabotag cash in treasury. It is also good indicator, but before you say that cash is well managed, so dapat nimo lantawon ang imong inventory og sakto. So if the company is a fast seller of merchandise, it is good because being a fast collector of the company, also fast in disposing of the products. So, but if the company is a slow mover of merchandise, they can also be charged of investing money in inventory, which is not easy to be converted to receivable and eventually to cash. So therefore, aside from inventory, you have also have to see the company has marketable securities. Excess cash should be invested in marketable securities if the company is a slow mover. Kung hinaog, medyo dili kay paspas of merchandise. So instead of stocking it in the warehouse, place your money in short-term marketable securities for higher yielding investment. So the next tool is the current ratio. So ang the current ratio is muna ang ability of the company na mabayaran iyang current liability through sourcing from its current assets. So for example, we have the quick assets divided by current liability. So based sa atong select information ganina tong kang Christine ba to if I'm not mistaken. So quick assets we have 1,070,000 over 550,000. So this therefore the ratio is 1.95 is to 1. So muna ang result. So muna ang interpretation. This means that in every 1 pesos of liability na 1.95 current assets ready answer for its settlement. So next kay magdilim siguro na kung part. So mura to sir. Sabak kay diri sir. So F9.
Okay, good morning. I'm Mark Louis Tagtakon and I am the last reporter for this topic for this last part of the chapter 10, the working capital management. So before we talk about the working capital timeline, so recap sa gugamay. So working capital plus management. What is working capital? Ang working capital is mo siya puhunan sa kumpanya alang sa adlaw-adlaw nga operasyon sa kumpanya. So kung dili siya ma-mismanage siya sa company or dili proper ang pag-manage sa kumpanya, kung unsaon pag-manage sa working capital, dunay dako nga problema ang mahitabo nga dili hinuon dali masulbad sa kumpanya. Karon mag-isgot ta kung unsa mga elemento aning working capital. Unsaon ni siya pag-handle ug unsaon pud ug kinsa man mo handle ini pero dili na ko mosulti sa kinsa ang mo handle. So working capital elements or the component of the working capitals, there is 2 component of the working capitals. First, the current assets, and second is the current liabilities. The current assets examples are the cash. Where's the cash? Example: cash on hands, cash deposit, cash funds and cash equivalent. Ang second is marketable securities, temporary investment. And third, receivables. And four, inventory. And five, prepayment. Like for example, sa prepaid rent, prepaid insurance, prepaid advertising, and etc. So, muna siya mga, usa sa mga component. No? Usa sa components sa component or elements sa working capital. Then, ang second component niini ang current liabilities like accounts payable, social charge liabilities, withholding tax payables, and short-term notes payables, and current portion of the loans payables. So, kani sila, ang current liabilities and current assets are the components of the working capitals. So, kung kini sila ma-mismanage sa company, wala sila masayon saon pag-manage ang working capitals. Doon na yun ako kayong failure yun ang may tabo. No? Kung basahon na. So, all accounts mentioned as a component of working capital must be managed as a group in order to minimize risk. So, failure to manage it will create imbalance in working capital. Yes, imbalance. Masulti na to. Unsa ni imbalance working capitals? Imbalance. And mismanagement of working capital might occur kung dili mabantayan og sayo. Dako kay problema may tabo. Isod na kay sulbaron hinoon. So karon magisguta sa ako ang part and what is called the working capital timeline. Ang working capital timeline mo ni siya. January 1, ang company nipalit siya o ni-purchase og merchandise. Sa January 2, na-receive ang merchandise. January 10, na-sold ang merchandise. And January 20, nag-prepare sila sa check payment. Ibayad. Then, pagka January 30, nagdungan ang collection of sales and the release of check payments. Diba, makita ninyo diya. Nagdungan. While ang kanang bitong sa January 1 ang purchase of merchandise, diba, wala sila nagdungan. January 10, diba, wala sila magdungan sa pag-sold o sa pag-prepare sa check payment. While ang January 30, nagdungan ang collection of sales and the release of the payments. The release of the payments. The release of the check payments. Sorry. So, ang ato makita, diya sa inventory, kinabaligya naman ko siya. Maayo siya ng taon. Una, sa company, doon na sila collection. Then, pag-release sa check payment for the supplier, kay mupalit na po sila og merchandise para sa stock sa inventory. Nagdungan siya sa collection of sales. Nindot ba siya lang taon, kinagdungan god, nag-release ka og check payments. Ang January 30 po, nagkulik ka og check, nagkulik og sales. Katong mga receivables mga dawatuno nimo sa imong customer. So, dito sa January 30 pa nakulik. Nagdungan atong pag-release sa check payment. Nindot siya lang taon, sa working capital, time shows figure 10, 2 seems good because collection and release of the check for payments. Pero ang problema lang, as a learners, ng tao na to ni, kung wala ba siya disadvantage nga nahitabo? Doon na siya mga disadvantage manggod ani, ang mahitabo. Sa January 30, paminawa ko sa January 30, nagsunod, nagkuan sila, nagdungan dyan sila ng adlaw, 30. Collection of sales and release of check payments. Pero na disadvantage nga ito na tawon. Kung ang customer nimo nagbayad siya in a form of cash, wala problema. Ano man, ma-deposit dayon sa kumpanya, sa iyang bangko, sa bangko sa kumpanya, ug magamit dia dayon kay cash man ang gibayad sa customer. If kung ang customer, however, kung ang customer nagbayad siya og cash, in a form of check. In a form of check. Check ba? Kuti kini siya. Kay naay gitawag og receive float. Unsa man ning receive float? Di man yun ni malikayan nga na magbayad og cheque kinamang yun na mamo yun ay pamaagi. Pero ang problema lang, kuti kay ang receive float. Si January 30 ba nagdungan man tong pag-release o ang pag-collect sa sales. Release of check payment and collect of sales. Pero kung ang collect of sales, nagbayad ang customers in the form of check, na ay gitawag na disadvantage ani. Doon na gitawag, number 1, receive float. Ang receive float, kay katunay siyang pagbayad sa customer, sa kumpanya, dili manggo diha dayod nga mabangko na po nimo na nga cheque. Mabangko nimo o ma-deposit nimo sa bangko sa kumpanya. Kaya ang nay naka-disadvantage ani, kanang gitawag og 3 days banking. Ang 3 days banking, kana bang, for example, nagbangko ka, nag-deposit ka sa bangko sa Miyerkules. Miyerkules pag yun na nitabo. Na-collect, na collection of sales January 30. Kaya ang problema, kay dili man diha na pud ma-deposit nimo ang kwarta. Kaya na pa may tulo ka adlaw ay pagka maka-deposit gikan sa Miyerkules. Miyerkules, Huwebes, Biyernes. Nya Sabado ug Domingo dili man sila pwede maka-deposit ana kay weekend man na. Nya plus na pa di holiday. So layo pa kaayo nga adlaw ay pa sila maka-deposit og kwarta. Maka-deposit og kwarta. May untag cash ang gihatag sa customer. May problema. Pero kay by way of check man, na form of check. So malay problema kay na 3 days banking. Dili man pwede good. Nga natungod pa dyan sa Miyerkules ang unang pagbangko. Nya pag kinahanglan na pa 3 days banking nya ang Sabado ug Domingo di man pwede na siya mabangkuhan kay weekend man na. Di walay may tabo, walay may tabo nga pag deposit sa kwarta diha, deposit sa kanay mo ang nadawatan sa customer. Pas kung ang holiday pa yun, Monday, lisod kaayo. Diba mo na receive float. Dili din magamit sa kumpanya ang kwarta. Kuti kaayo na receive float. Napay 3 days banking. Kasunod, kaning disbursement float. Ang disbursement float, ang disbursement float, kay dili naman gud siya nga magamit. Kay kamo lay basa kay wala koy copy. Kamo na lay basa. Di kay siya magamit. Pero unsa may mga actual ani nga practice ang disbursement float. Ang disbursement float manggod. Ani ni siya. Una, letter A. Sa naman lay basa sa letter A. Una ani, kung ang payers o kanang nagbayad nimo, kanang mubayad, makita na to katong customer nga mubayad nimo mati payers. Muhatag nimo og muhatag nimo og cheque. Then ikaw nga ikaw nga gibayaran, gideposit nimo sa imong account na deduction from the account of the payer's account. Na? From the account of the payers. May deduction. Plus, kung yun napagyod, dunay deduction. Manaman to. Dunay, tawag o, sa to? Dunay pa yun og 3 days float. Dili din diha magamit ang kwarta immediately kay 3 days float man. Muna disbursement, the actual practice of disbursement float, disadvantage niya. V. Kasi may V. Kung ang cheque sa payers, di-deposit niya sa or dito niya gibutang sa iyahang bangko, sa iyahang account, dili sa paye, kay sa paye man gyud tong account, ang paye gyud ni deposit dito. Well, ang kaning B, ang payers mismo, iyahang cheque, gibutang niya dito sa iyahang account, no? Dili na siya is consider nga float. I-consider na siya nga cash deposit. Kaya mang account man sa payer, dili man account sa paye. Ihamang account, iyahang cheque, iyahang account. So dili na siya magpabilin nga float, kundi cash deposit. Pero nagyapoy disadvantage. Kaya disadvantage kaning tawag po deduction. Pero kay katong gisgutan na to, dili na siya mapabiling float, kundi cash naman. So magamit na sa paye o katong kumpanya. Magamit na sa kumpanya ang kwarta. Di ba? So sa 10, 20, 30, hinahanglan sa work capital timeline, mat-an gyud ang kumpanya. Kaya kung magbayad man gyud ang customer in a form of check, dunay problema. Dunay bouncing ang may tabo. Bouncing cash. Awaha. Karon, butang na to sa receive float. Ang receive float, ang receive float, balik ta sa timeline. Sorry. January 30, collected sa sales. January 30, release of payment. Karon kay ang collections kay cheque man. Ha? Cheque ang gigamit. Nya na ay 3 days banking. Dili diha dayon mabangko ma-deposit ang kwarta. Kay na pay 3 days banking. Aya nimo ma-cleared og ma-use ang kwarta, ma-use as ma-convert na gyud as a cash ang cheque. Yan na may 3 days banking, lisod kaayo. So, kung mahitabo gali na siya nga float, magproblema ang kumpanya. Ano? Ani man guni siya? Mali ko nako. Ani man guni sa collected sales o sa release for check payment. Kung cheque ang gigamit, napay mga 3 days banking magamit ma-cleared as a cash. Nya karon, pag-release sa check payment, ang imuhang bangko kulang magkwarta. Kaya ay mong collections kidugay pa man kay ma-deposit imong kwarta kay daghan pa man kayong kote-kote. So may tabuan na, doon ay bouncing check. Kana bitong nagsulat ka og cheque, mga mo ang price nga ibayad nimo sa supplier. Pero pag release na sa kwarta dito, ang imuhang bangko kulang kwarta. Tungod na sa collection of sales nga ang dunay receive float nga dili dia deposit dito sa kumpanya, bangko sa depository bank of the company. So ang may tabo bouncing check. Ako sa problema ng bouncing check yun. Nagsulat kag kwarta mo ni ang kantidad nga ibayad nimo sa supplier. Karon pagdawat sa supplier nya ang imuha pagdawat sa supplier niya katong kwarta dako kayo niya imuhang sulod sa kwarta gamay kistanan bouncing check na siya. So sa may mga pamagi doon yung mga pamagi di ay. Okay, the two terms introduced are important because using the working capital timeline shown in the previous page as base, it shows that the receipt of the collection from customer and the release of the check payment to the supplier happens on the same days. Katong atong nakita sa working capital timeline. Same days, January 30. The exploitation is a big issue because why? There will be a chances of bouncing check. Katungingon ako niya. This scenario now requires that the company review its sales credit policy and the supplies payable policy through the following. A. Improve the inventory turnover and receivable turnover, thus the collection can be made early enough to cover the check payment to the supplier. So kung mubalik ta sa timeline, akong balikod, kato ang receive float, dili magamit dayon ang kwarta. Dili ma-deposit ang kwarta sa kumpanya. Ito sa bangko sa kumpanya. Kaya napay receive float. Pag-release nimo sa check payment, nga ibayad nimo sa supplier, magka-problema. For example, ang checking nga gibayad nimo, pag-release, gi-prepare nimo is 100 million. Now, ibutang na nato, 10 million. Ibutang na to, 10 million. Kung man kaabot og 10 million. Pag-release mo sa kwarta, pagdawat ato sa supplier, magproblema. Nice bouncing check ato. Kaya na, ang check wana 10 million, pero sa imuhang sa depository bank nimo, sa bangko ni, sa bangko sa kumpanya sa bangko, kulang. So bouncing check na siya. So, gikinahanglan mo ni siya. This scenario now requires that the company review its sales credit policy and supplier payables policy through the followings. A. Improve the inventory turnovers and receivable turnovers, and thus the collection can be made early enough to cover the check payment to the supplier. Dili man gyud malikayan nga cheque man gyud pod ang uban nga ibayad sa customer. So ang impaagi ana sa kumpanya, sayo gyud niya i-collect ang mga receivables sa customer, no? Kay para kadtong cheque masayo gito siya magmadawat, then ang pag-release sa payment is January 30. Kung January 25 nimo masayo ni siya og dawat o makulit ang sales, wala problema ano. Kung masayo na gyud siya og dawat ang collection of sales, wala siya problema. Kaya kung may tabo na siya mada sayo, makonvert din siya sa cash. Dayon sunod. B. Extend the supplier credit terms to match with the present inventory and receivable turnover. Kanang kung nauna ni mga inventory dagan pa siya stock, papadyo na stock natarong pa na siya naingon na tarong na throw o na distribute sa customer. Yan, wala gamay ra po din mo hang hinusa po ang receivables. So karon ang imong buhaton ang suppliers kay dili naman na kinahanglan nga matawag pa ka kay naka-schedule naman o kanus-an na siya mo supply sa bulana. Magsabot na po mo sa suppliers na i-extend sa extend sa ang pag-supply o mga products. Kung ang imong inventory is na pa yung mga stock, wa pa kay nimo na siya na distribute sa customer. Wa pa na siya nabaligya, na sold. Ano ba? So, they improve the inventory turnover and receivable turnover, and thus the collection can be made early enough to cover the check payment to the supplier. B. Extend the supplier credit terms to match with the present inventory and receivable turnover. And secure the extend short, kaning C, Secure external short-term borrowing like an open credit policy with any bank. Mga to.